Are you ready? This is why the part of the control tower. We gonna chant them down. We gonna push them down. We gonna break them down. Get ready to sing. 1, 2, 3. I'm an alien in my country. Think it's needless, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over slowly in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. Think it's Nevis where I was born. There will be no place for me to hold on. We'll be sinking, we'll be drowning in deep water. There'll be no recover. Power hungry politicians slowly selling outer island to Tom Dick. Anybody who have money, now look what they make me. I'm an alien in my country. Think it's Nevis belongs to we. Foreigners taking over daily in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. The little job that we used to have, foreigners take it while me a starve. The little food that I used to sell, foreigners take him, even that as well. The jobs and businesses here in this country are owned by Arabs, Indians and Chinese. Gone to the beach, this white man tell me to get off of his property. I'm an alien in my country. Think it's Nevis, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over slowly in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over daily like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. DJ Morrishaw came and tell me. He said, mighty, listen carefully. There'll be no place in our country left for our we. Watch and you will see. Foreigners will be Prime Minister. Foreigners will be Premier. Foreigners will be Governor. Cause of passport money, we're going back in slavery. I'm an alien in my country. Think it's Nevis, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over daily in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. If you are proud to be a Kititian, if you are proud to be a Nevisian, then take your flag up in your hand and wave it in any direction. This land belong to you and me. So stand up with pride and dignity and tell them foreigners bully, they ain't gonna chase me out of we country. I'm an alien in my country. Think it's Nevis should belong to we. Foreigners taking over daily in our country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. Come on, put up the flag and wave. Let me see you say. Put up the flag and wave. Let me hear you say. Put up the flag and wave. Let me see you do it. Wave it. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Put up the flag and wave. Put up the flag and wave.
That song of King Mighty Pat out of the Canary area there. They say also Newtown by way of St. Croix. This one is called I'm an Alien in My Country. That's how some of us feel at the moment, the way that we are treated by some of our nationals at home. Anyway, I'm DJ Morrishaw coming to you live and direct here from my bunker in the Republic of St. Paul's. Yes, you heard me right. DJ Morrishaw has landed safely here in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. It was a very long night. It was a very tiring day. Not sure whether or not I'll make it here due to the stormy weathers that out there, but I am here and I'm happy to be coming to you live and direct this afternoon. You know, the CPL continues, kicks off this evening over there in the Guyana area. So DJ Morrishaw will be just dropping in, doing a couple of hours and out of here. I have heard the complaints from many of you that I should not let the CPL stop me from doing my full allotted amount of hours. But believe me, the CPL is something that is exciting, and I think is only fair that I take the opportunity and enjoy some of the cricket. You know, before I get into the conversation, let me drop another track here because this is our 40th anniversary of independence that we are celebrating. And I remember back in the days, I was working with a band there by the name of Vibrational Roots, now changed their name to the Small Axe Band. It's like night and day. The band is now really not the same sound, but there is a song there that I remember that was done on the Go On Wasi album that I produced. And I was supposed to drop it some weeks ago just to remind the folks how hard it is to put together music in a studio. And after a tiring night, to my amazement, I didn't realize that because I was sleeping, I didn't realize that Mr. World called out my name and said, DJ Morrishaw, how you feel now after all of the hard work? So I'm going to drop this one. This one is called Jump by the Vibrational Roots, then officially became the Small Axe Band after this Go On Wasi album. And in the meantime, in between time, I want to thank all your folks who check upon me and was wishing me well. And I'm going to get back to you shortly, right following this song. Yes, man, share the live, share the live. That's the sound of the original vibrational roots right there and vocals. You have the man, the Mr. World, the World of Den, singing that one called Jump. Arranger and keyboard, the man, Bogner, bass, Livy, and drums, you have the man, I Show. Enough things happening back in those days when I work with the smallest band. But we're going to get right into Dwyer's Astafan, Dwyer's commentary for today, 13th of September, and then we're going to talk the things down the road this afternoon. As I said, I am in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, coming to you live and direct from my bunker here in the Republic of St. Paul's. And we're going to have to talk some serious business here this evening and get it over with and keep the folks in tune with the happenings there in our beloved Federation. Stand by for Brother Dwyer Astafan's commentary for today.
Greetings. With our 40th birthday as a nation just 6 days away, I find myself reflecting on a comment made by national hero Robert Bradshaw at the University of the West Indies Mona campus in Jamaica in the 1970s. He spoke about independence and the responsibilities that come with independence. He told the students that as hard as their parents and grandparents and other ancestors had worked under British rule, they had to work even harder because now they would be working for their own empowerment and that of their country. And work harder not just for their economic empowerment, but also for their social, cultural, and political empowerment. An empowerment that truly liberates and unifies a people and allows them to achieve a true sense of maturity, proud accomplishment, and independence, individually and collectively, with each passing year. That was what Mr. Bradshaw wanted. For him, independence was both aspirational and inspirational. And for him, it was profoundly meaningful. It required work every day to improve the nation. In the general elections of 1975, he was given the mandate to take the country to independence. But his political opponents in St. Kitts and Nevis resisted the country's move to independence. And the British enjoyed this resistance. And to make things easier for them, Mr. Bradshaw died in 1978, followed to the grave only 12 months later by Mr. Southwell. There was a change in administration in 1980, and by 1982, the two groups, namely the People's Action Movement and the secessionist Nevis Reformation Party, which had opposed independence right up to that election and after, now started in government, pursuing it with an unholy haste. Between them, they hatched a constitution, which was in no way aspirational or inspirational. It was in no way about country above self. Instead, it was transactional, self-serving, and unbalanced. And it was petty and spiteful. They inserted a provision in it with the intention of blocking one man, Fitzroy Brand, from being elected or nominated to Parliament. Constitutions are supposed to be shields, not weapons. Further, a federation, which is how the Constitution defines us, is a political state that is formed by a union between at least two partially self-governing entities under a centralized government, such as in Argentina, Australia, Brazil, India, Germany, Mexico, Russia, Switzerland, the USA, to name some. In our case, are there two entities which make up the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? If so, which are those two entities? With respect, what we have here is neither a donkey nor a horse, and I'm not even sure that it is a mule. So the name and the designation of what we have is itself questionable. To their credit, the Labour Party never signed off on the Constitution. Indeed, they issued a green paper, which in my opinion is a must-read in the classrooms or anywhere else where recent history and politics of this country are being taught and discussed. If you're interested in reading it, send me your email and I will get you a copy. That green paper is entitled "In Place of Strife." It was totally ignored by the PAM NRP administration back then. And yes, there has been progress in a number of areas over the last 40 years. But as old people say, what start bad a morning can't come good an evening time. If the root is poisonous, so too will the fruit be poisonous. And like the root of a tree, the Constitution is the foundation upon which a people govern their affairs. And what we have seen over the years has been evidence of a weak foundation and of a growing culture of strife, from the shooting murder of police officer Stafford Grant way back then to the knifing murder of a young man at a gas station just a couple of days ago. We've seen frustration, anger, viciousness, lawlessness, crassness, crudeness, thuggery, and brutishness grow like a cancer before our very eyes. We've seen corruption and compromise at volcanic levels becoming systemic. We've been on a journey of destruction of the heart and soul of this little nation. A tree with a weak root or a building with a weak foundation will fall and fail. And when a nation does not strive to have the best constitution possible and to respect and observe the Constitution and its laws, that nation is falling and failing. If my depiction of the state of our nation after 40 years displeases you, then with respect, let me remind you, I am not here to entertain you. Now, it's bad enough that we start out on the wrong footing, but it's even worse that after 40 years, there has not been a single amendment to our Constitution. The U.S. Constitution is nearly 250 years old, and that country has amended its Constitution 27 times. That's once in every 9 or so years. Australia's Constitution is 122 years old, and that country has amended its Constitution 8 times, which is once every 15 to 16 years. The South African Constitution has been amended 17 times in the last 27 years. And Botswana is consistently on the lookout to upgrade its constitution and has done so. One of the things that we can learn from those countries is that despite the problems that they may have, the people have been able to come together in the common cause of progressive constitutional review. It seems that we cannot do the same. Our politics, our orchestrated mentality of divisiveness, our lack of maturity that would help us heal ourselves and each other, our culture of dependency and entitlement. You all must be tired of hearing me talk about this cancer of dependency and entitlement. The fact that we are undereducated, under-equipped in hard and soft skills. The fact that while we were being fooled in the 1980s, when we were told that we were the freest nation in the world, all the while we were being put on a path where so many of us are looking for freeness, so many of us are underproductive, and all of this has continued up to today, perhaps gotten worse. And with all of the other hard truths that we must face in order to arrest and reverse this trend. All of this will tell us that we are nowhere near where Bradshaw would have hoped we would be in 2023, 40 years into independence. Taxpayers foot the bill of $250 million a year to pay a public service which carries over 7,000 people on the payroll. A public service which, over the years of independence, has become so political, so unprofessional, so compromised. Also, taxpayers foot the bill of another $250 million a year for welfare programs in the country, with as many as 7,000 people on these programs. We only have 50,000 people in the country, and the 7,000 people to whom I referred as being on the public payroll, that does not include Nevis. We have a food import bill of over $200 million a year, while our food production sector and our farmers struggle. All of these things are not evidence of success and development and maturity. Quite to the contrary, sadly, they are evidence of failure. And if Mr. Bradshaw were to exit the grave and see us today, he would be a very disappointed soul. If he were to exit the grave and hear that names who presided over this fiasco have received or aspiring to receive high national honors and awards, he would probably hasten back to Springfield Cemetery. If he came out, he would recoil in horror at how dirty we keep our country, and he would remind us of Marcus Garvey's admonition when he spoke at the MIS Hall at Lower Market Street in 1937 and pleaded with us to keep our Garden of Eden pristine, clean, beautiful, and productive. Mr. Bradshaw would be shocked into a second death to hear how much our landscape has been moistened by the blood of lives wasted in violence. If he were to come out of his grave and learn about all of the mid-level and high-level corruption in this country, only to find out that nobody has gone to jail and been punished for it, he, Mr. Bradshaw, would remind us of persons who were close to him, but who nevertheless, while he was leading this country, went to jail for wrongdoing. And he would put a good tongue lashing, not so much on the leaders, but more so on us, the people, who have acted like spectators, even participants in this degradation and demise of ourselves and our nation. And he would tell us that we are not victims. Instead, we are accomplices. The backbone is weak and the body is sagging like the pants on our young men. That is a symbol of a failing nation. No self-esteem, no dignity, following the wrong examples, having the wrong role models in life, and living wrong. This nation needs to strengthen its root and its backbone. This is part of the hard work of which Bradshaw spoke when he addressed those students back in 1970s. And nobody can do it for us. We, the people of this nation, have to do it for ourselves. In the cause of a good country, or a country that can be not only good, but a great little country. And for the sake of generations to come. And also, importantly, to bring peace to the souls of those of the past, on whose shoulders we ride. So yes, while there have been accomplishments over the last 40 years, in too many critical ways, we have failed. A constitution that is deficient, created by leaders back then whose intentions were petty, self-serving, transactional, and even spiteful. Leaders who introduced ways, and those ways have continued through different administrations, of weaponizing the Constitution, weaponizing the law, weaponizing power over those who we want to hold back or hurt. That whole cancer has spread and it needs to be arrested. This is our 40th year. If we don't wake up and understand the damage that has been done and take deliberate steps to fix the damage and to change the direction in which we are headed, an almighty fall will visit us. I wish us all a blessed and a thoughtful 40th independence. This is no time for frivolity and bacchanal. This is time to get serious and put us on the right footing and on the right path. I thank you.
Yeah, Brother Dwyer, thanks again for a lovely commentary. As a former Minister of Government, I'm going to take some time out that we could have a chat, because you spoke in your commentary today about fixing things. I really would like to know how we're going to fix this matter if this is so, because upon my arrival into the Federation today, there's two lines. There's a section for visitors and there's a sections for nationals. And when I look at the people that is on the national lines, the citizenship line, the hair do look nothing like mine. The color of their skin is nothing like mine. Their religion, whatever they are. We're going to be alien in this country pretty soon if this matter is not resolved, if Big Lice is correct. So I'm going to remind you guys what Big Lice said last week. I do not know where the problem started, but we got a serious issue in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. And though many of us may have ideas, there are some people who just don't want to hear. Some are paid advisors, paid to tell them what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the real deal. So let's take a listen to Brother Big Lice. I hope this is not so.
I want you all to listen to this carefully. That 70,000 passports have been sold since the start of the program. Estimated, but close to it. 70,000 passports have been sold. When I say sold, in the citizenship by investment, some people don't like to use the word sold, but 70,000 passports went through that process. 70,000 people. 70,000 passports mean that more passports were sold than our present population of local.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Every time I ask what is the population of St. Kitts Nevis, they're telling me 52, 54,000. So if you sold 70,000 passports, we are outnumbered, we are outvoted. And it appears as though today, that we have some politicians, public servants. We as citizens can't ask them a question, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I've been listening to some folks beating up on a young politician there in Nevis. I too had my little set to say on this program following the last budget debate there for the NIA, because the young lady came online and said she have her receipts. And then Premier Brantley came back and said that her receipts was wrong. And even the previous receipts by Sister Hazel Brandy Williams' receipt was wrong. So I decided I don't want to keep saying the journalists in St. Kitts Nevis not doing anything. I decided to be a part of the solution and not be a part of the problem, just complaining. So I did some work. I reached out to someone in Nevis to get my sister Nisbet's phone number, and they got it to me. And I reached out to Sister Nisbet, not to harass her, not to do anything wrong, but to be the good citizen that I am, to get her side of the story as the Junior Minister of Health, what the situation is there, what is the hardship, what is the plans, how she planned to do these things. So I'm going to read a little note. Last week I get cussed off by my boy Monarch, Somebody tell me something on Facebook about Calypso and incentive. And when I read what it was, I didn't think it makes sense. And I reached out to my boy Monarch to try and resolve the matter and give some input, and I get cussed off. So I do not know if my boy Milebach's going to cuss me off tonight when I read my communication with Sister Janelle Nisbet. But I'm going to give Janelle time, because maybe her data run out or something, whatever it is. But I'm going to take it for what it is, and I'll give her some time to get back to me. But as I get started, it was on Monday morning, I sent a WhatsApp to Sister Janelle Nisbet. I said, "Good morning, Honorable Janelle Nisbet. I was made to understand that you are the Junior Minister with responsibility for health. My name is JefroyMorrishaw, aka DJ Morrishaw. I am based in the New York area. I will be visiting the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis this week. I will be visiting Nevis on Friday, September 15th. Full disclosure, I am a social media blogger / journalist, whatever you all want to call me. I didn't put in that part anyway, but whatever you all want to call me. I am a social media blogger / journalist. Is it possible for me to have an interview with you during my visit on Nevis this coming Friday, September 15th? I asked. In addition, is it possible for me to get a tour of the new expansion wing project at the Alexandria Hospital? I sent that message at 7:25 a.m. I received a response from the minister at 9:17 a.m. Good timing, good time frame for response. And a very positive response as well, very positive response. She said, good day. My Friday morning is booked, but I can possibly fit it in the afternoon. Can you clarify the scope, apparently the scope of the questioning of the interview, the duration and the format of the interview? So the scope, the duration and the format of the interview she's concerned about. Then she said, unfortunately, a tour will not be possible at this time. So a tour at the Alexandria Hospital at the expansion wing would not be possible. That I understood. I asked the question expecting a negative in that regard, but I asked the question either way. Now, I responded to her promptly at 10 a.m. when I got the message, when I checked my phone again. I said to her, thanks for your response. The scope of the interview will be the status of the health sector and Nevis, what you met when you took office, how do you see your efforts improving the sector? The duration of the interview, I will leave that for you to decide how much time you have. The format will be Facebook Live. Please let me know what time in the afternoon you will be available. I went on further. I said, I am aware that some individuals may take these kind of interviews to be negative. The reality is that these kind of interviews can be very positive, and the general public will have a more understanding and favorable response to your efforts in regards to the health issues that affect our citizens that you may be working on. I said that to make it clear to the minister that for whatever reason, I realized that during the election campaign, politicians, candidates for office, they got time to stop in the street, have a drink with you, calling you your phone, come to your gate, harass you all hour a day and night. But when the election is over and they're in office, they're unreachable. You cannot find them. You go to the office to make an appointment to meet with them, they don't have the time. I hear people complain that they've been waiting on some ministers to meet since 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, which I think is unreasonable. So I am giving the minister an opportunity to come to her people, right? Now, at 12:32 p.m., following my response to the minister, I received another message. Apologies, I checked my calendar. I am fully engaged that day, so I will not be able to facilitate. And a second message, well said, I appreciate the work of the media in helping disseminate information to the general public. There is definitely a positive value in that. At 12:35, I responded to the minister, okay, what's your availability? What date after September 15th will you be available to meet? Now, this was 12:35 on Monday. We started off with a very interesting and positive conversation. However, the phone gone silent since Monday. I'm wondering, did the minister phone run out of data? Did the minister get that busy between Monday to Wednesday that she cannot respond and say what time, what day is good to meet? Is it possibly she does not like the Facebook Live format? She might want to do YouTube, she might want to do in person. She might want me to bring in SKN Newsline. She might want me to bring in Freedom FM. She might want me to bring in ZIZ. She might want me to bring in Van Radio. Well, I copied the minister on this link this evening because I want the minister to understand that she is a public servant first. When you are elected to those offices, whether you're premier, prime minister, health minister, attorney general, whatever you are a public servant, and you're responsible to respond to the public when they ask a question. So I am going to leave it to your good judgment to reach out to me, DJ Morrishaw, and let me know when you're available to have this conversation, because the public wants to hear from you. Every time we hear from the premier at his press conferences, people want to know if there is no one else in the NIA, there is no one else that can speak on their behalf. What happened to the health minister? What happened to the works minister? Whatever the case might be. I took the time out and give you the opportunity in good faith to speak to the people. And I'm going to leave it positive. I'm not going to look at this as a negative. I will be coming to Nevis on Friday, as planned, 15 September, the pre-National Heroes Day. And I look forward to going across to the hot water bath and get a soak. I also look forward to take a visit at the project there at the new expansion wing at the Alexandria Hospital. And finally, I do intend to go across to my boy, the Carbos in Fountain, and have some fungi and fish, some goat water around midday. And as I have said to folks who I sent the information to, I invite everyone, the general public. As a matter of fact, Sister Nisbet, you can meet me there and have some goat water, fish, whatever you may desire. And let's have a chat. Because it's not about politics anymore. This is about all hands on deck. If what I'm hearing about that expansion wing at the Alexandria Hospital, I am hearing the premier speaking about quantity surveys that was paid for by a acquisition that has not been delivered. Now, I know quantity surveys need to be done prior to the start of any project. And while I'm here in the Federation, I am going to try and reach out and find out who is this individual in St. Kitts that got paid to provide these quantity surveys and have not been able to provide them. I'm also going to try to reach out to Mr. Brand. I understand he was the one that was the architect on the hospital wing. I want to get first-hand information. I am tired of the political way. I don't got tired with the political blustering. I want to get some straight answers why the people are suffering in St. Kitts Nevis and why monies have been wasted while people are suffering. You know, I got into St. Kitts earlier today, and the flight landed at RLB, I would say about 1:15, 1:20. I left RLB sometime around 2:15, 2:30. Thanks to my uncle there, Uncle Joseph Emmanuel, he picked me up. And between the space of time that my uncle picked me up and I made it back into the city, I had to go to Flow to turn on my local phone and to ensure that my internet was turned on, that I could come live this evening. So I didn't really have much time. And between the time I went to Flow, I walked from my cousin's store, Smart Fit, over there by Skelec, at the old Simaka building. I went and visited Gloria. I parked the vehicle there. And between walking from Skelec to Flow, I encountered many citizens. Some was happy to see me, just hugging me and welcome me home and want to have a drink and want to have something to eat, but I could not stop. But then there was another set that of the McKnight area, of that neighborhood, that are complaining to me how hard things are for them. That during the campaign trail, everybody came in, and names that were mentioned, Dwyer Stefan, and Dwyer Stefan is not the candidate. But what was said to me, that Dwyer them came through and talked to us and convinced us to vote for the candidate, and we haven't seen them since, and things rough and whatever. Dwyer spoke about people looking for handouts, right? And One thing about the politician, the party supporters and politics in St. Kitts Nevis, we need to cut it out. Because a lot of us are citizens, we want to help. And when we try to help, we are rejected. And some of us, not in a position to help, but we are suffering and we are asking for a help. And when you are saying, I am in need, I need help, people take it as you want a handout. Doya, I can say to you, I don't think you ever had things as bad as I ever had. I don't think you ever needed to get a handout, right? So if you did, join me on the program, let's talk about your experience and let's share some values so that people can learn from that. But there are a lot of people who always have food in their house, always have money in their pocket, always have shoes on their feet, always have clothes on their backs. So they would never understand what the poor man go through. You understand? They would never understand. I am pretty sure that there's people here in St. Kitts who don't have money in their pocket. There's people in Nevis who don't have money in their pockets. I am pretty sure that there are people that is suffering, not because they don't want to do good, because they don't have the opportunity, they don't have the ways and means of doing it. Now, DJ Morrishaw came into St. Kitts today, and like I said, I learned about 115, 120. And in the short space of time, I land and St. Kitts. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take some pictures and put them on Facebook later because you all might think I'm just exaggerating. The short space of time that I land and St. Kitts, my good friend set up over the enlarged project. He already called me, want to know where I'm at, because he called me last night just to say hi. And I told him I'm coming in today. Tell me, okay, check him when I come in. And when setup called me, I tell him I'm in Basti trying to get my internet together. I will check him on my way over. I went by setup. I got ripe banana. I got green fig. I got plantain. I got mangoes. I got soursop. I got, we call it avocado in the States. We call it pear in St. Kitts. I mean, sugar apple, name it. I have a whole farm out there on my table. The only thing I regret about having all of these things there is that my baby girl and Gwyneth and Bevy and Cora and Farrell Smith and the folks in the New York area that normally look out for me, they're not here to share it with me. You know, so I'm gonna have to share with some of the locals here in the village. But that's the luxury of DJ Morrishaw. DJ Morrishaw has people in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis that looks out for him. I take care of them. They come to New York, I take care of them. I come home, they take care of me. Some people never been to New York, but I do my part for them whenever I'm here. Don't forget Ricky Basu. Ricky Basu tell me, Morrishaw, I don't have to be here. Go into the farm, take what you want. My boy Pillar just the same. Morrishaw, you don't have to. I don't have to be there. Go and pick what you want. I can get my coconut water from my uncle, from my boy there, down in Sandy Point there. Everybody does not have that luxury. So we got to stop harassing people. And then you have the other set, the real politician them. The real politician them. They're going to tell you, oh, because you didn't get what you want. You're cussing government. The reality is that things are not back to where they should be as yet. That is the reality. What we see seems to keep forgetting that where we are, we didn't go there in 2022 when Labour administration took office. We had what you call a concussion. They say it was a team unity administration, but I call it a concoction. It was led by Timothy Harris, the leader of the PLP. Let's not forget that. The PLP was able to form because Sam Kanda resigned his office as Deputy Prime Minister under Labour administration. Joined with Timothy Harris and formed the PLP. the PLP then was able to bullshit PAM, the People's Action Movement, led by Sean Richards, that they could form a coalition and take over the government. I found out later they tried it in 2010. It didn't work. Sam Kando said they tried it in 2008. But I want to know if Sam know who Timothy was. Timothy wanted his job, according to what the news is. According to Sam, according to the word on the street, Timothy wanted his job. But he still resigned as Deputy Prime Minister, a safe job, and went and joined with Timothy to form the PLP. Then they was able to bring in Premier Brantley from Nevis, the leader of the CCM. And they had that coalition for 7 years, 7 long years, 2015 to 2022. And I don't care who want to cuss me. I'm going to call it as I see it, right? At the time, prior to all of the way, I look at Premier Brantley as someone who could be another Prime Minister of the Federation. I honestly had believed in the gentleman. He presented himself in this regard. But it's only during the way and all the wrongdoings, and I tried to reach out to Premier Brantley and try to get a sense of understanding of where he's at. And I realized that he's not Prime Minister quality. He's not even Premier quality. I love the gentleman as an individual. Politician-wise, no. And it appears as though he's going to damage those other young candidates that are coming up in the CCM before they get a chance to grow. Because if they continue down the road that they're going with the business of Nevis, they continue going down that road, CCM going to get a serious rude awakening, and there will be no chance for them to come back. See what happened to Pam? Pam got a chance in 1980. They got a chance in 1980, and they was there for 15 years. Since then, Pam can't catch herself, And I don't see Pam catching herself for several other years. I don't see Pam winning government without a coalition. And I hope that the Dr. Joe administration is paying attention. Do not ignore the noise. While walking across the street earlier today, a young lady in Bastille, she shouted me to come and say hi and everything like that. And the short couple of seconds I stood there, I heard the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Joe, speaking about the cost of living. And as he said, it's not what he wants, it's the reality, and he's trying his best to fix it. But I got a question for some of you who out there has been beating up on the good gentleman. Prior to him becoming the leader of the Labour Party, prior to him becoming Prime Minister, you all beat up on him. And even now, you are not giving the gentleman a chance to put things in place. Every day, you all is on his back. And the bad thing about it is, the real sad thing about it is, Dr. Joe does not know this. Prime Minister Joe does not know this. A lot of you who he has in positions now is who was there criticizing and cussing him before he became leader of Labour Party. You all didn't want him as the leader of the Labour Party. You all cuss me after. Say I'm supporting someone who was than Timothy. You all cuss me after Dr. Joe already he can win his own seat. Never mind want to run for leader of the Labour Party. And that is why I did my investigation and did my background on Dr. Joe. And I realized he was the man for the moment. He was the man for the mission. This is why when Precious Mills asked me to voice a clip and nomination there for Dr. Joe, I did it with pride. That's the person that I saw to bring about the change. And the change has come. And you have half of them who was not supporting the Labour Party and Dr. Joe. Their hands up, they want. All of a sudden, they're big Labour. In the meantime, they're still cussing the digit. The other half is still trying to bring back the farmer hug. Still trying to call it for unity. This blows eye like so. A common sense you all ain't got. Are you telling me that Patches is correct when you say, given a common sense test, 98% of our nationals, our citizens will fail? That's what you all trying to tell me, that Patches was correct? Well, I will not believe that. I will not believe that. I came into the Federation this afternoon. I'm happy to be here. 40 years ago, I enlisted in the Virgin Islands National Guard, St. Thomas to be exact. And we used to be going back and forth to San Juan, over to vehicles and everything for training. And the final leg of my medical evaluation, I was told that I had a big navel back then. They call it hernia. I used to call it a big navel. When I don't eat on time, it full up. I used to squeeze it and play with it as a little horn. But the army decided they want fit people on the front line, and I had to do the surgery. And I decided I don't speak Spanish. I don't trust any Spanish doctors to cut me. So I came across to St. Kitts, and I had the surgery done at the JNF. A gentleman by the name of Dr. Fosberry did the surgery. I have not seen Dr. Fosberry since, but coming down on the plane today from JFK to Miami, I reminisce on my 40-year journey and what I went through during that time. On my way from Miami to St. Kitts, I continue reflecting what I have been through and what I can do to help. And while hanging out in customs waiting for my luggage, I happened to mention the ordeal to a friend of mine. And he said to me, well, Morrishaw, Fosberry is still around. I know he had moved to Nevis, but he's not sure if he's in St. Kitts or Nevis. So I'm putting it out there to you. Anyone out there that knows how I can get in touch with Dr. Fosberry, if you have a number where he lives, whatever, during my stay here, and this 40th anniversary of independence, 40th anniversary of that surgery, I would really like to reach out to Dr. Fosberry and thank him, and hopefully we could have a drink if he drinks, whatever. But I would love to link with Dr. Fosberry, shake his hand, and thank him for taking care of me, because from that surgery until today, never had a belly ache again, never felt sick in that regard again. From my time I could remember myself, prior to that surgery in 1983, it was not a month I'm not sick. I spent a great deal of my childhood, my teenage period, down at the Paxton Hospital with pain in my stomach. This is where I met Nurse Morgan, Nurse Woodley, Pretty, Nurse Williams, and many of the nurses, Doris, because there was nurse there. This time you had Stella Paul, Miss Paul here, one of our veterans here in the St. Paul's area. She used to work down there at the Paxton as well. So we have a lot to thank God for. I have a lot to thank God for. And I am not going to pretend that everything will be perfect. But the question I'm going to ask you folks out there that expect things that was damaged for 7 years, if you expect it to fix in 12 months or 24 months, you have a serious problem. The little I know about construction, I try to put it this way that people could understand. If you are renovating a house, it's going to take you a longer time to renovate that house than it will take you to build a brand new house. When you're building something from scratch, let's hope it's not the hospital wing at the Alexandria Hospital, because that does not set a good example. But normally, when you're building something from scratch, you know what you're building, you follow your blueprint, you follow your plans, and you get your stuff up accordingly with a good manager or a good supervisor. Remember, Timothy said, "Mark and manage." I'm talking about someone who could manage. But when it comes to renovation, where you're breaking down and building, it takes a little more time. I am not here making any excuse for Dr. Joe and the Labor Administration. They are capable of representing themselves. But for the people out there that might be listening to the noise and the weary and want to believe that St. Kitts is breaking down, St. Kitts is in good hand with Dr. Joe and his team. They are on the right track. Things will get better. Better than it was in the last 7 years under the team unity concussion. I can assure you of that. And as I've said to the good doctor, even before he became Prime Minister, and this program, Dr. Joe, I support you. You decided you want to take on this task. Make sure whatever you do, you don't go in there and do like them that we are campaigning against. Because I will be that disappointed. I'm going to come at you harder than how I went at them. And he assured me, not a chance. He's going to go in there and do his best. And I believe he's honestly trying his best. And if someone is trying, will you keep trying to pull them down? If Dr. Joe fails, St. Kitts Nevis fail, all of us fail. We see what Timothy Harris and his team did. My campaign was anybody but Tim. My choice was Dr. Joe and his Labour team. But I was prepared to settle for anybody but Tim if you all didn't want Dr. Joe. But apparently, the masses chose Dr. Joe. So let's put our hands together on this 40th anniversary of our independence. Let's do our part to forward this bill of federation. I don't mind talking politics, you know. I could talk politics with anyone. As a matter of fact, I had no interest in politics in my former years. But when I look at what transpired under the team unity concussion, if this is what politics is poison, politics is sin, and we have to change that direction of politics and bring a more positive politics in our bill of federation. That is why I got involved this deep. And if your online viewership can remember, you know, when I started this thing on Facebook, it was supposed to be 13, 14 days tops, you know, just to keep myself busy while I'm in quarantine. You all said, no, DJ, you cannot done away with this program. We want you to continue. So I listen to you and I choose to continue. But I am going to continue with the real deal. I am not coming with no fake news, no fake messages. Some people want me to polish up things and sell their rotten mango and spoiled egg. I'm not doing that. When I come here, I'm coming to you, the people, straight, real, factual. There's a lot of fake ones out there. You know? Remember, there was a lot of noise making during the campaign, so quiet they gone. Quiet as a lamb until that time again. All I can do in my little spot here in my bunker is say to Dr. Joe, Prime Minister Joe, I know you're trying your best. But according to the word on the street, I will ask you again, do not depend on just the representative of the respectful areas, the respectful district, the respectful communities. as the Prime Minister for all, you have a responsibility of touching every corner, every street, every village, every community in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The people want to see you. The people want to feel you. The people want to communicate with their Prime Minister, not because they want something. They are happy for the change and they want to be a part of it. I am in the Federation, and I could stand up boldly and say this to the people of Nevis. I do not know at what level, whether it will be a town hall or just a visit to Carbos. But before I leave St. Kitts, Prime Minister Joe and I will visit Carbos. Prime Minister Joe and I will visit Nevis. I will ensure on that, because he made a promise and I know he lives up to his promises. So my good people, let's not lose faith in Dr. Joe. I have checked the man, I've examined the man, I've been communicating with him. And he's amongst the best of us here in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. There's a bunch of selfish people in our beloved Federation. It's all about self and not country and not thee. They're not even about families. Because I see many people here in our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis that has it and refuse to share with their family or with their brother man. We need to be our brother's keeper like it used to be back then. As Dwyer said in his commentary, 40 years later, 40 years of independence, what have we accomplished? The same dirty mind, the same bad mind, the same jealousy, the same envy. And every time I try to speak to Gwyneth about these things, she tells me about Cain and Abel. So you're going to tell me back in the days of the Bible, they were killing each other out of jealousy and we're going to live it throughout our life? We still don't understand as yet that as we come in, we're going to leave one way or the other. And we have to do the best and the good that we can do while we're here and leave the place better for somebody else. Could you imagine if we were in the time when they had the guillotine and all this kind of wicked things they were doing to people down in Europe and over there down south, when they used to lynch people on the trees? We got this stark reminder right there in West Independence Square, you know. The dungeons are there where they used to have our brothers and sisters and relatives locked down in cages and chains, waiting to be sold right across the street. The square used to call Palmer Square. They changed it to West Independence Square. But the stark reality is there. And my boy, Brother Pat, you know, my boy, Brother Pat, this song that he sing there is a serious song. And for those of you who did not hear it when the program started, I want you to hear it again. And Pat is registered and will be participating in Sugar Mars 52. So I want you to get your rag and your flags and everything and come out. Listen to the lyrics. And I'm saying to you, citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, we will not be aliens in our country anymore, because that is how we are treated at the moment.
Are you ready? This is why the part of the control tower. We're going to chant them down. We're going to push them down. We're going to break them down. Get ready to sing. 1, 2, 3. I'm an alien in my country. St. Kitts Nevis, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over slowly in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly, like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. St. Kitts Nevis, where I was born, there will be no place for me to hold on. We'll be sinking, we'll be drowning in deep water. There'll be no recover. Power hungry politicians slowly selling out the island to Tom, Dick, anybody who have money. Now look what they make we. I'm an alien in my country. St. Kitts Nevis belongs to we. Foreigners taking over daily in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly, like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. The little job that we used to have, foreigners take it while me a starve. The little food that I used to sell, foreigners taking even that as well. The jobs and businesses here in this country are owned by Arabs, Indians and Chinese. Gone to the beach, this white man tell me to get off of his property. I'm an alien in my country. St. Kitts Nevis, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over slowly in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over daily, like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. DJ Morrishaw came and tell me, he said, mighty, listen carefully. There'll be no place in our country left for our we. Watch and you will see. Foreigners will be Prime Minister. Foreigners will be Premier. Foreigners will be Governor. Cause of passport money, we're going back in slavery. I'm an alien in my country. St. Kitts Nevis, that shouldn't be. Foreigners taking over daily in my country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly, like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. If you are proud to be a Kittitian, if you are proud to be a Nevisian, then take your flag up in your hand and wave it in any direction. This land belong to you and me. So stand up with pride and dignity and tell them foreigners bully, they ain't gonna chase me out of we country. I'm an alien in my country. St. Kitts Nevis should belong to we. Foreigners taking over daily in our country. Lord have mercy. I'm an alien in my country. Government pretend that they can't see. Foreigners taking over slowly, like a bulldozer. They gon' crush me. Put up the flag and wave. Come on. Put up the flag and wave. Let me see you say. Put up the flag and wave. Let me hear you say. Put up the flag and wave. Let me see you do it. Wave it. Wave it. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Put up the flag and wave. Put up the flag and wave.
Nice movie by the mighty Pat. I look forward to seeing him perform that and finals night. You know, Iona, how you all doing? Let me say good evening to a few folks here online. My online viewers, as usual, busy got me busy. Good evening, Brother Jeff Pemberton. How you doing? How is Sister Patty Bartlett? Hope all is good with you. Sister Honorable Janice, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, hope all is well with you as well. J.D. Keynes, Emmanuel Hodge, I understand that you are the new caretaker. there, I think is in the number 5 area, Navis. Congratulations. Sister Lorette Wharton, how are you doing? Good evening. Mona Davis. Gemini Nisbet, good evening, good afternoon. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Verlina Ali, good evening. How are you doing? Dibasu, good evening. How are you doing? Isla Philip, how are you doing? Gotta go and check my girl there over there at Lovers Lane in Tabernacle. Get some lovely saltfish patty and some jerk chicken and some lovely pizza and stuff that they do there at the Lovers Lane there. Diana Flanders, how are you doing? Curtis Brown, Curtis Cook, good evening. Visha Stapleton, Brother Elvis Williams, aka the King Freddy, also will be participating for the Sugar Mass 50 to Kaisa competition. The man Glenn Green as well. So looking forward to having those guys in the federation. Clayton Davis, good evening. Boo and Evelyn Yulin, sorry, there in St. Thomas, good evening. Eliza Thomas, good evening. Hildred Mintus, good evening. Sister Salita Bias, how are you doing? I remember all the struggles you had coming down to the federation for the election. You're not here cussing anybody, but you was one of the folks that spent days trying to make your way here. I know you understand the struggle. Tanya Powell, good evening. Want to big up Delicious Nicholas Brown. How are you doing? Nafisa Ramjit. Maurice Williams, good evening. Eugene Weeks, good evening. Jennifer Queely, good evening. Carmen Ward, Tamara Warner. Gigi Williams Keith, hope all is good with you. Tamika Bartlett and Maria Nisbet Horton. Alvan Brown, how are you doing, my brother? How is the UK? Looking forward to have you back. Leroy Decent. Kenisha Irish. Casey King, Sergeant, how are you doing? Sergeant Claxton, Karen Irish. Trevor Carbo Cornelius, hope all is ready to. Brother Carbo, I hope you put your address and number there in the chat. We're gonna be coming by you on Friday at midday. Come get some fungi and fish and some goat water. Look forward to having you. I wonder if my boy Myla Box is available. Myla, give me a message on my local number there. Let me see if I could get you across to Nevis with me. Get you some real Nevis food. You might go over there a little more often and check out my boy Carbo when you get that taste. Carol Liebert Ward, good evening. Jessica Lewis, Joel Richardson. Dietrich Farrell Smith, good evening. Hope all is well with you. Jill Liebert, Joan Matthews, Lynette Farrell, Evan Jeffers, Eddie Decent. Well, Chester Watson, how are you doing? All is well. I called you a few times in Chester. I didn't get you. I don't know where you're hiding. Courtney Queely, here's a Claxton, good evening. Hope all is well. Avril Dickinson, Tanya Powell, Joseph Liebert, good evening, good afternoon. Cheryl Hughes, Jermaine Anthony, Loretta Clark Queely, you're still there. Brother Mervyn Leader, how are you doing, Doc? Hope all is well with you. All right. Esther Dieter Markman, hope all is well. Margaret Skeet, good evening. Veronica Roberts. You're not going to call all this name this evening, right? So I'm just running through. James Body, good evening. Veronica Roberts, Sister Naomi Ward, Sister Joseph Claxton, sorry, Joseph Glassford. Buchanan, how are you doing? Ingrid Daniel. Yeah, man. Jeffera. Brother Eustace Hendrickson, how are you doing, my brother? I am in the Federation. Remember, you got a job to do. Arlene Jeffers, the man Ira Henry, how are you doing? Avril Rosie Keynes. Hope all is well with you guys. Sister Susie, how are you doing? Brother Katuba Rumba, Chantel Pinney, how are you doing? Sister Myers, hope all is well with you and the family. Look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. Caroline Clark, how are you doing? How is things in the Oklahoma area? Justin Hazel, Sabodan, how are you doing? Marlene Cross, Lioness Charles. Julian Pemberton, how are you doing, my brother? How is Brother Luther Kelly? Tell him I'm here to collect my honorarium, you know. The dancing commissioner, Brother Austin Williams, how are you doing? How about Sister Laura Williams? Hope all is well with you. Brother Rebuka, Bass, the man DJ Rabuka, Lincoln Hapson to be exact, Sebastian Williams, Ruby Walters, JT Taylor, hope all is well. Brother George Nisbet somewhere around the world. Curtis Brooks, Curtis Cook, how are you doing, my brother? All is well. The mighty monarch, the man King Astro. How about the man Ronnie Rascal? All is well with you? Verna Cozy, I hope all is well. Centric Daniel, Livy Brown, I hope all is well with you. Eve D'Souza, good evening, how are you doing? Adrian Berry, what's up, brother Claudia Thompson? Jeffroy Jr. there, brother Jim Morrishaw, how are you doing? Hope all is well. I landed safe. Hope all is well. And you guys, want to big up sister Gwyneth Morrishaw there, Beverly Morrishaw. My mascot there, sister Dorothy Allen, how are you doing? Monica Bradshaw, Simbot, Livingston Brown, John Matthews. You know, I can't read all his names this evening, but I want to also big up Uncle Joseph there at the Garvey's estate, the Millhouse Guest House, for taking the time out and come to the airport and accommodate me today. I really appreciate that. You know, the Division for Nevis, NFN, they are inviting you to their annual brunch. That's Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Starts at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the St. Andrew's Church there, 781 Castle Hill Avenue, Bronx, New York. For those of you who was there last year, you know it's at, it's the same place. And the donation is $35. I call on you as usual, folks, to support the good people of Nevis, because as usual, whatever funds that these folks make, they always give back to their community. So remember to support. There's some contact numbers here for tickets information. There's Keith at 718-415-3036. That's Keith, 718-415-3036. Valina at 347-243-1351. Valina, 347-249-1351. There's a Birdman. Birdman number is 646-334-3167. That's Birdman, 646-334-3167. Gene Sider, 917-939-9943. That's Gene Sider, 917-939-9943. Twiller, 718-938-5911. That Twiller, 718-938-5911. There's one name I see here that is not on the ticket. I do not know if it was an oversight or whether or not she don't have tickets this year, but whether she have tickets or not, I guarantee you, if you reach out to Sister Hazel Claxton, who is also a part of the NFN, Division for Nevis, her number is 917-569-1842. That's Hazel Claxton, 917-569-1842. Go out and support the good folks there at the NFN, Division for Nevis event. They do a lot for our citizens there at Nevis, so don't forget to go out and support the cause. We also have a couple of events that is taking place around the US and here in St. Kitts, our 40th anniversary events. So don't forget to go out and support those things. I should have, I hope that you remember, Pastor Ron Daniel should be joining me at some point this evening to have a quick chit chat about some events that they're doing there on Nevis. So, and he had told me he will join me at the bottom of the hour there at 6:30. So I am trying to hold the fort for him that he will log in and we will have a quick chit chat with Pastor Ron Daniel before we log out. I want to say good evening to my sister, dear sister Cicely Brown. Hope all is well with you. I hope you're back in the Nevis area there. And I hope you remember to save some guineas for me. Don't tell me that all those lovely guineas that I leave on the tree when I was here is done. I got some nice rosy cheek mangoes there that I got from my boy Setup. So I'm well set up for the evening, but you know, tomorrow is another day where I have to get some stuff together and run across to the city there in Bass State, take care of some stuff there. So while I give Brother Ron Daniel the opportunity to log in, I don't want to get too much further into my topics because, you know, once I get going, it's not turning back. I want to big up my boy there, Brother Henry again, Brother Glendale Herbert, the man Malvern Herbert, the man Jebby. How about the man there, Brother Sadler, Everett Sadler there in the Miami area. Hope all is well with you, my brother. I think I could drop a track here and big up my boy, the Twinkie. How are you doing? Sister Weezy, Catherine, the man Sugars, how are you doing? I want to touch my brother there, Shabby Dan, everything bang on. You know, later on I'll be down the road. Checking my girl, Sister Michelle there, Sister Joycelyn Richards. Also there, the man Jason Richards. The man Boogie, hope all is well with you. Ken Roy. The Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas here, Sister Joel Theo Clark. The man Brother Bevis Hutchinson there. How about Sister Mem Clark? Hope all is well with you. I think I'm gonna drop this track here. I think this one is a lovely track while I wait for Brother Emmanuel. There, I think this is a lovely track that I can drop for you while I wait, because this land is enough for all to share. And it seems as though that some people think it's all about them. It's not about the land. So let me drop this track here. This land is enough for all of us. Stand by as we continue with the program.
Frustration grips this nation. Poverty holds the mass population. Inflation grips this nation. Unemployment devours the population. Those who have a little holding tightly, oh Lord. Those who don't, they need real badly. So they rob and kill like thieves, try anything just to stay alive. Man must survive. Capitalism is choking, stifling this country. Come, let us raise up and try again. This land is enough for all to share, and there is no reason why any man to live in despair. Each endeavoring, all achieving. Why don't we practice what we are preaching? We cannot not at all continue, no. Envious, greedy, conniving, blood sucking at the truth. Pass them before. No more, I say no more. If prosperity is to come to the shore, I say we must share, brother, share. While we are here, otherwise we may find that we are no more. Confusion overlays the land. Hopelessly we stand before exploitation. All them Syrian and them foreign banks, they are sucking the very lifeblood from this island. All like Joe and Bryce will encourage much more inflation. They want too much profit from the pocket of the poor man. The prices are rising though, our salary still are low, and they don't give a damn if this country come or go. Where is my government? Where is my government? I sweating, I catching hell. They're doing well, although this land is enough for all to share, and there is no reason why any man will live in despair. Each and every all achievement. Why don't we practice what we cannot not at all continue, no. This envious, greedy, conniving, blood-sucking attitude past them before. No more, I say no more. If prosperity is to come to the shore, I say we must share, brother, share, while we are here. Otherwise we may find that we are no more. Woo! Insincerity, yes, the hypocrisy of this voracious system is butchering you and me. Well, they don't give a damn about the common man. They only digging their greedy paws into this nation. Tourism, they say, is our main industry, but who own and control all them hotels here in this country? The English, Canadians, Americans, and I hear now them Germans channeling most of the money out of this island. It will never circulate unless we make them give when they take. They should learn to share the cake. All must partake. I say this land is enough for all to share, and there is no reason why any man should live in despair. Each and every all achievement cannot not at all continue, no. This envious, greedy, conniving, blood-sucking attitude past them before. No more, I say no more. If prosperity is to come to the shore, I say we must share, brother, share, while we are here. Otherwise we may find that we are no more. My brethren, would you make a choice? I want to hear you like the mighty thunder song your voice. Would you live in love and share with your fellow man? Or would you rather live like a savage beast and destroy this land? Who don't want to work and share the fruits of this country? We don't want them here, they can leave immediately. There's no time to fool around. We must cultivate the ground. Don't wait on the government. This land is our daily bread. Destruction is setting in. Destitution brings ruin. World pressure is dragging us down. We have no time to clown. I say this land is enough for all to share, and there is no reason why any man should live in despair. Each and every all achievement. Why don't we practice what we are preaching? We cannot not at all continue, no. This envious, greedy, conniving, blood-sucking attitude past them before. No more, I say no more. If prosperity is to come to the shore, I say we must share, brother, share, while we are here. Otherwise we may find that we are no more.
Yes, that's the song of Brother Emmanuel there, the man, the King Short Shirt. So Brother Daniel, Pastor Daniel said he was running a bit late. He just finished a meeting. If I could drop him 10 minutes, he can try and drop in 10 minutes. So I'm going to give him that luxury of 10 minutes. Anything past that 10 minutes, you know, he missed the program until next week. So while we continue the conversation, I just want us to reflect during this independence celebration, the kind of government we were dealing with not too long ago. And many of you was as quiet as a church mouse, had nothing to say. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, when they said they was giving all kind of assistance to everybody, many of you never received any assistance, but you all was quiet as a church mouse. And a way must paid out secretly. You all was quiet as a church mouse. Confession was made after confession of millions missing. You all was quiet as a church mouse. But as soon as the Labor administration led by the Honorable Dr. Terence should take office, everybody get tongue and teeth. The tongue and the teeth was friends again. All kind of cussing and complaining. And I'm going to remind you all, you know, whether you all like it or not, I'm going to remind you all. Because it's only by bringing the facts and maybe repeating the facts, you all might understand what kind of government you all had. Let's take a listen to our sister there. I understand she is the secretary now for PLP.
On the 10th of January, every single cabinet member, save for the Honorable Attorney General, was present at cabinet. When that agenda item came up for that meeting, and I recognized that it was going to be the next item for discussion, I recused myself from the cabinet meeting because I knew that in addition to the persons who were being proposed for an honorarium, the names of Vincent Byron and Wendy Phipps were on that list. And it was the appropriate thing to have done to exit the room so that I do not influence a discussion in which the outcome would more than likely see me being a beneficiary for an honorarium. After the matter had been discussed for about 15 minutes, I was called back to the cabinet room and rejoined the meeting, and at that point I would have been informed of the cabinet's decision. By the 21st of January, acting on the instruction of the cabinet secretary, who would, according to her practice, send the cabinet decision of that nature to the office of the financial secretary, the payments were made to the members of the task force. The payments were done rather discreetly, right in this very building, on Friday, the 21st of January, with a senior official from the Ministry of Finance being present to present and to have signed for them the same beneficiaries who were asked to walk with an ID. Now, as I said, that was January 21st. February 21st came, no leaking of anything. March 21st came, no leaking of anything. April 21st came, no leaking of anything. And now we are down to the 31st of May, and yesterday that happened. I do not want to surmise or to second guess or to try to figure out who did what and why. But what I do know is that cabinet documents are privileged documents. People who sit in a cabinet have to take an oath of office before you can assume any type of role in the cabinet. What was done yesterday, and to a certain extent I can only say that it was done in retaliation for my statements last Friday, because the graphic that I saw only had one person's picture on it, and it was mine. But my position is that if you want to take issue with a minister of government over a payment that that minister of government receives, you have no business whatsoever compromising senior civil servants in that process. What I saw yesterday had all of the names of all of the beneficiaries, plain as day, and I do not know what was the aim of all of that. Nobody on the task force stole any money. Nobody on the task force begged to have an honorarium, but they were duly presented with an honorarium. This type of information being circulated on social media doesn't help anybody. And what it does is engender further distrust in terms of your access to government, especially when matters have to come before the cabinet. So the average person might be out there wondering right now, what happens to me if, for example, like the example I gave you earlier, of 44 businesses applying to the Ministry of Trade for relief, for fiscal relief, to get their businesses up and running or to relieve some of their operational costs. What is to happen to those who are still in the process of sending in their applications? Are they supposed to now feel threatened or afraid at being exposed even to their competitors, for example, which is serious, that something as simple and which is their entitlement to access as an application for fiscal incentives in the past might very well find itself on social media. So I think sometimes when we do these things, the person or persons who are responsible, we need to take time and think about the implications for everybody. And I will end on that note, and I will pray that as we move forward, we would recognize that social media serves a good, but it also has its bad sides. But let us continue to try to use it for the good that we can get out of it.
You know, Sister Wendy Phipps, that's what I do here on DJ Morrishaw's platform. I use social media for the good that I can do. The issue I have with you all, the issue I have with you all on this matter, when I was speaking the things about the wrong that was being done, Abdiel Samuels came on his platform during the task force presentation weekly and respond to us saying, we're cussing you all and you all is volunteering, you all are getting an extra cent. That's what Abdiel Samuels says, he was the chairman. But then you all went out there, as you said, in secret. Your cabinet, led by Timothy Harris. You said the only person wasn't there was Juicy. The Prime Minister at the time, Timothy Harris, was the chairman of cabinet. And you all secretly approved over $300,000 to be given to you all, while not one of you, from what I understand, lose a day during the pandemic area. Not one of you in cabinet, not one of you working in that government miss 1 day's pay. But you all went further and secretly divided over $300,000 amongst yourselves, doctors and all. While poor people still today, 3 years later, have not collected a cent. There's people here in St. Paul's that lost their jobs, that didn't collect a red cent. Curtis Crook, he was beat in the street because he lost his job. First, he loses his ID from the airport, I don't know why. Then he lost his job for not taking a vaccine. That the Prime Minister tell, I heard the Prime Minister says in a broadcast that the powers that be have to come down on their workers and ensure that they take the vaccine. Well, TDC responded in kind, and many people lost their jobs. Many people lost their jobs. The fight was real. The struggle was real. And people want to forget these fights. And then it come down to the dollar bill. And maybe God know why Brother Daniel is late. Because this clip, I'm going to drop this clip of the Prime Minister not too long ago there, speaking about the millions that went missing.
2 weeks back to back, you're onto something, PM.
Yes, thank you very much, Ike. I want to thank the listeners who are joining us this afternoon. I think that it's important that the people now become aware of more information. I think that having a transparent government, a government that is built on the principle of good governance, should be really in a position to deliver the information to the people. But as I said before to our citizens, that I was not on a witch hunt, and that I would have allowed the processes to take place to gather the information in such a way so that when it is presented, it is factual, and not only that, but it does not have any inkling of malice or targeting, but really laying the facts out and allowing the facts to fall where they may. And so, EK, that has been the objective. I know I've been criticized for not laying out a lot more information earlier. And I would say to people that I am mindful that I was also being responsible to make sure that the information would be information that is reliable and information that would have been properly researched. So I think taking that approach, at least people would reach the point to say that this was done prudently. I am also here more frequently because your airways is the airways that we used frequently, and I think you have the listenership and the followership as well, and I also use the national radio and the national station and other media to get the message out. So last week I started in earnest talking about the development bank and social security. I would just say to people, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. And I will delve deeper into the development bank so people can understand the state of the bank. And that is why we had to do a forensic analysis of the bank. The bank was mismanaged. The bank was run like a bar shop by the former CEO, who is the brother of the former Prime Minister. We know that no audit took place in the bank in 2018. If you are running a prudent financial institution, you must do audit. So even that alone tells you that if one has an institution and that institution is supposedly run well, one of the most important requirements is that an audit is done, and the bank had not been audited. Of course, that put the bank in a bad light to the point where the CDB and other financial institutions refuse or stop doing business with the bank because of how it was being managed. No audit in 2018. When people don't do audit, it is grossly irresponsible. It gives the opportunity for corruption. It is a way to hide corruption and bad dealings in financial institutions by refusing to do audits. We sought, since the government changed, to do business with other institutions, and the first thing that those institutions are asking for is the audit. So on the basis of no audit tells you that that institution was grossly mismanaged. Again, I would say that for the 7 years that the unity was in, they had promised in 2015, and I'll take people back to their manifesto of 2015. A big part of it was premised on integrity in public life. 7 years, EK, and nothing done. Remember, the first chairperson for the commission had to resign, and he said he was not given the money to open the office and to run the office, and so he had to resign. For those 7 years, no documents that we know of were delivered as part of the declaration of members of parliament, government, or those who are asked to do so under the relevant legislation. Nothing in 7 years. The people were fooled and hoodwinked. And the reason why this was done is so that you wouldn't have good governance in place. And if there's no good governance in place, you can really create a climate of corruption, which actually took place under the previous administration. Ike, let me delve into the numbers of the development bank so people can get a fairly good idea of what happened. The bank owes $334 million, $833,769.34. More than $250 million. That's what the bank owes presently. where what it owes is greater than the assets. So the bank was left in serious trouble. I'll call that number again, $334 million, more than $250 million in debt. Social Security is owed $120 million roughly, $120 million roughly. And the bank refused to pay back Social Security from January 2022. So up when we took office, it had been well over 6 months that the bank, that Social Security had not received 1 cent from the bank to service its $120 million loan. So what is Social Security supposed to do? That is a significant amount of money. The decision that we have made is that the bank must pay back Social Security. We can't afford for Social Security to lose $120 million. What money will you have to pay people when they retire? You're putting people's retirement plan in jeopardy. People's benefits are in jeopardy if you have $120 million out and not servicing that loan. Again, the loan is supposed to be serviced at $647,000 per month. They were paying up to January 2022 haphazardly $200,000 a month, and from that time until when we took office, nothing at all being paid. Thus far, we started back with $200,000, then quickly went to $250,000. We're now moving on to $300,000, and we'll move up to $400,000. And as the bank recovers, because of our stabilization efforts, we will make sure that the bank pay back Social Security. We cannot allow the bank to fail. We cannot allow the bank not to pay back Social Security. That is too much money. $120 million. When people retire, people are expecting their benefits. They work hard. They gave their contribution. EK, how can you run an institution such as a development bank being so irresponsible and grossly mismanaged to the point of collapse? We cannot allow the bank to collapse. We had to make financial decisions to divest or divert monies from one area to the development bank to make sure that the bank does not collapse. Because if the bank collapses here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we can imagine the consequences that it would have on the overall economy, which would take a while for us to recover. Added to that, Social Security would lose an immediate $120 million. So EK, just to run the numbers, the bank owes $334 million, well over $250 million under the last administration. So the government is also owed by the bank. The bank owes the government $89,500,000, 90-something% from the previous administration. National Bank, $25 million, total from the last administration. We have not gone to the National Bank for any money. The SIDF is owed $57 million, and Petrocarib, $11 million. So they were taking money from a lot of other places because they could not go to international or regional institutions to borrow because of bad practice and lack of transparency and the fact that they refused to do an audit. So the development bank, EK, was in serious trouble. But as I said, I did not speak because I did not want total confidence to be lost, and so we have stabilized it. And as a result of that, you can see where the bank was grossly mismanaged. I've also spoken about the fact that they used to send a particular person to the National Bank for cash in a bag every Friday to the tune of $500,000 to $700,000 and have that raw cash on the table in Development Bank to be split up. EK, that is what took place with respect to the Development Bank. And we are saying that this is a very serious and critical matter. EK, let me move on quickly to the matter with NHC, because something happened there at NHC. NHC had also borrowed money from Social Security. to the tune, I think, of about $50 million. Social Security had become their slush fund. $50 million NHC had borrowed, and they advertised some big housing program, but that is where the money came from, $50 million. We can remember clearly, there was a Miss Bory who was on the board of Social Security. One of the things that was being put forward is that you just can't take all of the money from Social Security. Just like a bank, when you go for a mortgage or a loan to build a home, you have to take it in stages. They wanted too much of the money at the same time, which was against what you consider to be normal, transparent, good practice. And as an account, as referred, that may have been one of the reasons. But we know for sure that that was practiced in terms of how you get the money from Social Security. So Social Security had become the slush fund, and they misused and abused the fund by refusing to repay the money to the fund. We have now stopped all of that, because at the end of the day, you cannot put Social Security in trouble. The other thing that was happening is that in order to keep up with any other corrupt programs, or programs that were not properly funded, or could not be funded sustainably, they were diverting money to other places, and people had the impression that the government had all this money. But see who was suffering? Social Security was suffering. Development Bank was suffering. Other banks were suffering. And as a result of that, the very foundation of our system was also suffering, to the point where we ran a deficit in 2021, 2022. Fear enough. The issue that I had is that they were claiming that there was surplus after surplus after surplus, only to find that there was a deficit. So we had to plug that leak as well. The other matter with the economy, after lying to the people and saying surplus after surplus, and what we made were deficits, that is another egregious type of act that they committed against the people, misinforming the people. We also find the IMF report of 2018. And the reason why they had hid the IMF report of 2018 is that the country was in a recession. And because he was out there saying surplus after surplus, and the actual data was showing that we were in a recession, he hid and did not allow, or did not give permission to the IMF to release the report. Of course, since then we have asked the IMF to release the report. So the report now is public. Again, misleading the public on the state of the economy that they left in place. When it came to the PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, it was used as an election gimmick where they went around and basically just distributed it, understanding clearly that there was no money for it. So it's almost like they were running a Ponzi scheme. You don't have the money, you pay up front, but when you go and you look back, who is suffering? Social Security is suffering. Development Bank is suffering. And the government, the central government, is suffering because the central government then had to lend a lot of money that were not being properly serviced. And so the foundation of the economy was actually being affected just because of an election weaponization of cash transfer, which they call the PAP. So they left these institutions in a state of deterioration.
Yes, that is a clip that reflected a few weeks back with the Prime Minister giving an update and those missing funds, if you want to call it that, unaccounted funds that need to be found sometime, somewhere, somehow. I am now going to be joined by Reverend Daniel to have a quick conversation about some good works that they're doing there in Nevis. Reverend Daniel, could you tap your screen and open your mic, please? Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, sir. And how are you doing?
I'm actually doing very well, thank you. Good to be here.
I'm going to ask you to give a quick synopsis of yourself so that the folks online could know who you are. But before I do that, I ask you how you're doing, because I was just playing a clip there and killing some time for you to join. And it's the reason for those clips I'm
I
playing.
apologize. I apologize for the lateness. I had a meeting that ran a little longer. Sorry about that.
No problem. I just want to say I am happy to see you in person, live and well, because not too long ago, during the pandemic and the COVID era, the news that we're getting is that you're not coming back this side. You're on the other side, and you
Yes.
had me worried because I know you were doing some good stuff there, Navis, with the young cricketers and other stuff we had planned to do work with. So welcome back to this side, and I guess prayers work, huh?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And I also want to use this medium to thank those people who prayed, because it's only now I've been hearing more and more how people really assumed or really, I guess, feared for the worst based on the reports, and the reports were horrible, I must say. And prayer does work. God is amazing. There's one time, for instance, that I literally died for 10 minutes and I was out, and that was it. And through prayer, I guess, doctor's intervention and so on, they actually had to take the stuff, I forgot what was on the ventilator, take it out, try to resuscitate me. And thankfully, I'm here again. So I give God all the praise and thanks for having life, because the truth is, medically, I was already dead, but God. And so I give God thanks to you and others who prayed. And I keep meeting people even this year who've been telling me that they're praying. Even to me yesterday, I think someone said, look at this walking miracle. And yes, it's indeed a work of God that I'm alive. And that is why I'm even more committed to doing the work of God, because indeed, I know, all of us alive, we only are alive by the grace of God. But I think I have a deeper appreciation because I was dead and I'm now alive. So I give God thanks for his extreme grace and mercy on me. And I don't really know why I am still alive, but I want to dedicate the next phase of my life to doing even more for him than I would have done before. You did say that in the past I was doing, and I was always active, helping and doing, but I just feel an extra obligation because I just feel indebted to him, and that's just how I live now. Okay,
but Reverend Daniel, for the folks who do not know who you are, could you give a quick synopsis of who is Reverend Daniel?
Okay. I like to start off with the main thing. I'm a Christian. I am married with 3 children. I'm a pastor of the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Brownhill. I also presently am the chairman of the Navis Evangelical Association, as well as the assistant district superintendent of the Wesleyan Holiness Church. I think that's pretty much enough. I really do love cricket. That's the other thing. I must put a plug in that I really do love cricket.
And all of that is on our lovely island there, sister island, Queen City, Nevis.
Yes. And I live in Nevis. Yes.
Okay. Well, yes. Brother Daniel, I appreciate you reaching out to me a few days ago, and this is your opportunity to speak to the people. You got thousands of viewers online, and I'm pretty sure that
one of them. I met DJ Morrishaw some years back, and we collaborated through his generosity on trying to ensure that certain underprivileged children got some school supplies to return to school. That was about 2021, I think, out there about. And so for me, I'm also a pastor that's big on ensuring that we look out for those in the community, those who really do need the help. And so I think that's one of our callings as a church generally, no matter which church, as well as a pastor. That's one of my soft spots for people, for helping people however I can. And so I would have reached out to DJ Morrishaw to see what synergies can be had with him and the church for assisting people. And he convinced me in his own unique way to say, hey, let's not just near you talk, let's also have it, let's do this on a bigger scale. And so just to give a synopsis of what we're doing at the Brownhill Church, we have what's called the REACH program, and it's REACH, and I spell it out because it's an acronym for reclaiming, evangelizing, advancing, coaching, and helping. And it's really the social arm of the church in the sense that we try to assist people in very real ways. So for instance, We just literally completed our back to school drive where we gave out more than 80 plus packages to different people in the St. John's area, totaling a couple thousands of dollars. I don't have the exact figure, but a couple thousands, because you're talking books, pens, folder leaf, folders, different things. So that's one. Secondly, another aspect of the REACH program that we have is that we try to provide hot meals. Well, we did it up to last term for 5 different children in the Ivor Walters Primary School. We stay in St. John's area since that is the community we serve. And another aspect that I literally just got off the phone with is that we also provide free classes in 4 different subject areas. So we have 4 different subject areas. We have agriculture, that's going on right now. We have English, we have POB, that's Principles of Business, and Principles of Accounts. So we have just about 60 different people, 60 different students registered. And so our idea is to build the competencies of our people so that they can then be able to leverage themselves to go out and be successful in life. The only thing we tell them is you only have 1 year, so you can't have sit the subject and resit it, right? We tell them, hey, you have 1 whole year free, or the only thing they have to pay is the exam fees to CXC, and the tutoring is free, everything is free. The material, well, you would have to buy books, but in terms of we provide a classroom, you know, we set it up like a classroom and so on. So we provide stuff for these students. And last year was our first year, and we have 100% pass rate in that. One of the things we're looking to do this weekend, it was scheduled for, still trying to firm it up, but it's called Sip and See. We provide soup, right? So everything is free again. Soup, and we said, and see, that's why we said soup. I mean, sip because there's soup, and then see because you want to see what you want. So let's say DJ Morrishaw has 10 shirts that he doesn't need, whether new or lightly used. Anything that you see that you want, you just go ahead and take it. So we say sip in terms of sip your soup and see what you want. And there's no buying, there's just us helping people. And of course, we would have helped in other practical ways where people where we know can help. And one of the things that we have done too, that we've also partnered with government in terms of identifying people who need help and to see ways where we can help. For instance, I just got a letter this week from social services. They have what's called the RISE program, which basically, as the name implies, helping people to rise. So what they're trying to say is help us identify certain people who you think would fit this bill to help them to rise. We've also assisted with the Teen Mothers program because to provide mentoring and training to them so that they too can move out. Because of course, once you're a teen mother, there's a certain what's the word? Skirmish place to your name. So our
stigma.
Yeah. So our role, my role is to try to see how we can help them in terms of jobs, job preparation, interview prep, etc. So that is in a nutshell what we are doing under the REACH program. And so my thing is, if there are any like-minded persons who are willing to assist, whether in terms of time, one of the things we're really looking for is to get a maths teacher. So I want to use this medium if you're willing to teach maths, because maths is always a serious issue. So that's one of the things. If you're willing, please let me know. My cell number is very public. It's 869-662-3601. So in case anyone wishes to assist us in any way in these programs, I'm available.
Repeat.
That's what I was just gonna say. My cell number again is 869-1869-662-3601. It's also straight call as well as WhatsApp. So either which way you want to get me, we can do that, and we can see how best we can assist. Also, we would have assisted the Brown Hill management team. I think they're the most amazing community organization in Nevis for sure, if not the Federation. And so we would have donated some monies to them to assist them in their work. The Brown Hill management team helps provide hot meals every Saturday to all the members in the community. So I want to thank people like Lisa Brown and her team, Warren Pemberton. Those two are the two at the top who really do a lot. And we also have been assisted the Brown Hill cricket team, since they're also from Brown Hill, providing them, because cricket is an expensive sport, DJ Morrishaw, very expensive.
Most expensive sport.
Most expensive sport. A box of balls, just 6 balls is $150. So we provided, I think, something for them to buy balls, and we've also been there with them, helping them whichever way we can. So that's a snapshot of the stuff that we've been doing in our community and in our country. And my appeal is, if anyone wishes to assist in any way, whether in cash or in kind, please contact me so we could see how best that could be done.
As I said to you when we spoke, Reverend Daniel, is that Morrishaw could make a contribution, but I think you need something bigger than Morrishaw's contribution, and that is why I invited you here to make your presentation. And what I would encourage you to do is to put your phone number in the thread, because this thread will be here forever. People will be coming back to pay attention. So you put your contact information. If you have an email, better yet, because folks do use that medium as well. And I'm appealing to my online viewership who have listened to Reverend Daniel's presentation. Hazel, I know you guys love your Univision thing, Twiller, Denny and crew, Malvern. I ask you guys to make your contribution to the cause. And if you don't have the means of making it locally, and Reverend Daniel does not have the means of getting it from overseas, you could always send it to my account. I have PayPal, I have Venmo, I have Cash App. I have my ZELLE. You can ZELLE me via my phone number, 917-597-0195. Again, that's 917-597-0195. PayPal, Venmo. At the top of my program weekly, all of my information there where you can send contributions. Just put a footnote that is for Reverend Daniel's project, and I will know how to forward those cash to Reverend Daniel. And I had a conversation with a politician back on Monday, Brother Daniel, and that is something I try to explain to them, because some people, when they hear about Facebook Live, the first thing they think is negative stuff, because I am a program that is start from a political perspective, and I ask some serious questions of the politicians, public figures. But at the end of the day, I use it for positive purpose. And situations such as this, I know that our people have a good heart. And when it comes to kids, there's a young lady by the name of Cora Bennett. She's a very strong supporter of this program. And once you mention kids, she's there. And these are the kind of people that I respect and show support for, because some people think about the taking. I can say to you that I play domino with a group of people. I play cricket with a group of people. And the amount of liquor they drink during those times, they could save $20 and contribute it to the kids. So,
yeah, definitely. And again, as I said, kids are a key thing. I'm the chaplain for the Ivor Walters Primary School, and we just had a special service at our church this morning just for them as they celebrate the 50th anniversary. And one of the things we do there too is that if we see if there is a need of a child there that we can assist, we do that. And we do it very privately. We don't, we just, we have a good connection with the school. And so we just say, hey, make sure this student gets this or that. And so, and even last year too, we also gave them books, and this year too, stuff that they could, give. So it is all encompassing. And one of the things I'm glad for this opportunity for is that sometimes as you said, people do know, and people would have money and say, I would like to give something, but they're not sure of a cause or of a person. So if you're so minded, we'll be glad. If you're not minded, well, okay, we'll just continue to fight the good fight. But we want to see how we can assist people. I think that's one of the things Jesus himself would have called us to do, because he kept on repeating, look after the orphans, look after the widows, look after those, the least of these. And in as much as you've done it unto the least of these, my brethren, Jesus said in Matthew 25:31-46, you have done it unto me. And so that is really why we're doing it. So I thank you again. First time I've been on this show. And I really do thank you for the platform. And anyone at all that wishes, I already put my number in there. Anyone at all who wishes to help in any way, we'll be grateful.
Well, I can say to you, it's the first time because it's the first time you responded. I tried to reach out to you during the political debacle just prior to the federal election, but I know you churches did not want to get involved in the political arena. So
I think I did see it, I thought and then I signed as this, and then I signed too late. So, and by that time it was gone. But I don't try to hide away, because for me, as you talk about churches hiding away in anything, I believe the church is responsible for a lot, because the truth is the same politicians as they do. Just this year I was telling someone, we've already had to go for a service for the hurricane, right? Pray for the hurricane. They had the Christina Memorial that we were involved in. So we had different things, and we are also involved in the independence. So my thing is, if government can come to us when they need us, if we see that there is a need, we should be able to come to government and say, hey, government, realize that this is a concern in our society. And we've done that. As a matter of fact, I could even say now that we are planning a meeting as a church with the Attorney General to discuss some concerns. We have already reached out to him, but he's independent, so we're gonna wait until all this blows over. So I expect October, November that you would be able to see in the media that one of our colleagues is gonna be away. So I think it's probably gonna be late October. We're gonna be engaging the Attorney General about certain things that we feel are inconsistent in our community. So for me, I am not ever going to be like, okay, church is here and the country over here or whatever. I don't believe we need to be combative, but I think that there needs to be constant interaction with the government, because I'm telling you, government comes to us to ask us to pray, to ask us to intervene, to ask us to speak to, etc. So if there is a need, I think that it should be a collaboration. I think that's the way God would have designed it. You would have seen it straight through the Bible. It was the priest that appointed the government. So we want to continue that. So I won't duck. No, trust me, I won't.
Okay, well, I am happy to hear that, because I tried to reach out to several ministers while I was on the ground here during the campaign, and everybody was running away. I would say openly, it seems as though since the government changed, everybody is labor, everybody tongue and the teeth good again. But it was a hot time, and everybody. But nevertheless, the presentation that you made a while ago is a very compelling presentation. With your permission, it's up to you guys. I have a technician that is very good at GoFundMe and could maybe step up the pace for you all to really get some good income. If you send me that information, I can try and put something in place, and with your approval, I think you will get a better response from a GoFundMe, because our people don't like to walk down to Western Union and MoneyGram and stuff and put in money. But in terms of the digital age, they would quicker go to a GoFundMe and make the payment there. So that could help as well.
Consider, I will have to revert to you on that.
Yeah, think about it. Think about it and let me know. But that is another option that will give you a faster and a more adequate way of raising some funds. And again, thanks for your appearance, and give your church sisters and good brothers, church brothers, our blessing. And I'm happy that you're still with us, because like I said, you had me scared when I heard about your situation.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for your love, and thank you for your time. May God continue to bless and keep as you continue to do your bit in the kingdom.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yes, that was Brother Reverend Ron Daniels. That's the nephew of Brother Felix there of the NFN organization there in the Bronx, New York. As I said, there are some families that continue to give back to our society, while some of them continue to just want to take. So again, I just want to thank all of you folks that have continued to support and contribute. Sister Hazel Claxton can't thank you enough. Sister Joseph Buchanan Glassford, you as well, Ivy Carty, Iona Mitchum. Gotta thank you guys enough for your continued support. Rosita Pontine, you continue, Beverly Morrishaw, Gwyneth Morrishaw, Jeffroy Jr., Esther Hutchinson, Pastor there, my sister in Tortola. Also want to big up my engineer, Brother Ike, as I've said week after week, year after year. Without Brother Ike, this platform will not be realized. This coming October 8th will make 3 solid years that this program is now running, and is due to your support, your online viewership, and your kind contributions from some people that keep it going. It is not a free program, it costs to run, and sometimes whether the money is there or not, God sends someone to make a contribution, and I'm able to maintain it. Sister Cora Bennett and Hazel Claxton is the 2 main consistent contributors, and I want to thank them for that, because without them, I might have been offline already. So I want to big up Brother Pastor Clive Williams there in the St. Croix area. I see you have a big album released there. I have to get him together. Since COVID, we did a couple of virtual shows. We have not done anything since because everything is packed, but we need to come back and do something for you folks. So I want to big up Sister Debbie there and Brother Lord Kent. Also, Kent is coming out with a gospel album. He's working on it presently, so that should be out in the not too distant future. Brother Freddie, King Freddie, should be releasing shortly as well for Sugar Mass 52, and Brother Glenn Green. Mighty Pat dropped one of his songs already. We are working on some rearrangements at the moment to pep it up, but we're gonna have 3 hard-hitting Calypsonians participating in Sugar Mass 52. Should they make it through the elimination stage and make it into the finals, we're gonna have some serious competition come final night at Carnival City, wherever the Calypso show will be held. In the meantime and between time, I want to just thank everyone for logging on this evening. As you know, I came in this afternoon, like I said, have not had dinner or anything, have not had lunch, had a short connection, so need to go and get something to eat, get a quick look at the CPL if that's possible. So without any further ado, you know what song is coming up, the unofficial anthem of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. This one is called Arise by the late great Brother the King Arrow. Yeah, Brother Williams, I got your CD from sister, my sister there, Sister Brown.
this building, a wall so massive or a bridge, don't care how small, as one tends to divide our people, the other unite us all. Unambitious men just cannot be a part of this community. Displaying selfishness, a total lack of interest. No, I said no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct all mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Can your conscience be clear? Indulging corruption or misusing public office, being accused of unemployment and crimes, or disrupting a citizen's peace. Oh, my country in this harmony, separated politically. Hatred for a brother cannot love each other. No, I say no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct all mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. So rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Yes, the song of the late great King Arrow. That's definitely a song for this time, this era. 40th anniversary of independence for the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. I'm Morrishaw, and I'm going to call it that for evening. Look forward to seeing you back here, same place, same time next Wednesday, as we continue to talk the things and to educate and be educated by our good citizens.